go at Sewell-Thomas Stadium. It is a series finale in Tuscaloosa, and it features the Alabama Crimson Tide and the red-hot Kentucky Wildcats. Look at the record. They're 21-2, and they've won 17 in a row. That means they're going for a sweep today. Glad that you are with us on this Sunday afternoon. He is the former big leaguer Lance Cormier, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. So, Lance, Alabama got off to a respectable start. Little rocky beginning to its SEC slate. Meanwhile, Kentucky, I mentioned the winning streak, 17 straight, and they're staring maybe a 6-0 start to league play right in the face today if they complete the sweep.
Yeah, the Batcats are hot, and they are doing it a little unconventional, little small ball, hit and run, bunt up and down the lineup, putting pressure on defense. Alabama's missing the home run and the extra base hits that they had in the preseason, so they're looking to get back to that, but it's a big series.
You're right. They do it in a variety of ways. Yesterday had 18 base runners total. Hunter Gillum just continues to mash in the middle of the Kentucky order.
Yeah, that's the Kentucky Triple Crown threat right here. 4-12, 5. He is pacing the Batcats in every single one of those categories.
Yeah, I think he's doing it better than Justify. Meanwhile, Alabama, the big bat in the middle of their order, that's Drew Williamson. Look, Lance, he is the veteran. He's hitting .392 to start the year.
Yeah, he's a 5-year starter. You don't get that very much, and he's Alabama's leader. When he goes, they go.
31 hits in 24 games this year for Williamson. He's over at first and on the mound. It is Grayson Hitt, the junior from outside of Memphis. Really has great stuff. Left-hander who started the year 3-1 with a 4.37 ERA. And Lance, he's got the 32 punch-outs to prove that he can bring some really fine stuff on the mound when he's locked in.
Yeah, you see that right there, 92 to 97, and that's a little bit up from last year. And right now, there's probably about 20 scouts behind home plate watching Grayson Hitt throw. Has all 4 pitches. The slider, he's also mixing a little bit more of a cutter, and that's, for the most part, he has gone mostly slider, cutter. He stays away from that true four-seam fastball, which is really good. He just has a hard time locating it. That's when you see the 16 walks in 22 innings.
His last start 9 days ago against Florida picked up the win against the now third-ranked Florida Gators. And so away we go at 12:02. Weather in Tuscaloosa, a little cloudy. Temperatures approaching 70 degrees. We were supposed to go at 2 local time today, 3 Eastern. We moved up the start time to avoid some perhaps inclement weather. There's the starting lineup for Kentucky. You see Nolan McCarthy back in the starting 9 and back on the lineup card today after a fine day yesterday in the Game 2 win for the Wildcats. This is Jackson Gray to lead it off.
Yeah, McCarthy came in, pinch hit Friday night, got a knock, and then coach put him in the lineup, got a couple more knocks, and guess what? Back in there.
Oh, the 1-2 off of Gray's bat, right back to the mound. It looked like it might have ricocheted off of Hitt's back. He tried to swing the glove around, but instead it's a leadoff base hit for the 5th-year senior.
Yeah, no, he hits it with the glove. He almost makes one of those behind-the-back catches, and then as it hits it, his glove almost falls off. And so he almost made a little highlight reel catch, but all that matter. Jackson Gray, first base.
You're right. That looked like it got the heel of the mitt. And so Gray is now 5 of 11 in this series. Jace Felker is the number 2 man in the order. That one gets away from Matt Cassetti. I think the only question now is, did Felker offer at that? It looked like he did. The runner advances down to second.
Yeah, they're going to score that as a pass ball. Kentucky will bunt all the time. You can tell right there, the bunt basically affects Matt Cassetti's eyesight, and ball hits off the heel of his glove. I'm telling you, Kentucky is going to be aggressive every single part of the game, running, taking the extra bases, bunting, just putting pressure on that Alabama defense.
That pitch high and away. So Felker did get the bat back. You can see our home plate umpire David Brown indicates the count's 2-0. Hit finds the zone at the knees for a called first strike.
There's so many times that Kentucky's hitters will square around with no intention. They might be just squaring around to see what the defense is going to do, square around to mess with the pitcher's head.
Bunt is down, back to hit, and the runner moves over. Williamson able to get his foot down. So you got one out in the first, and Lance, you are right on. This Kentucky team leads the SEC in stolen bases. And now a 25th sacrifice bunt on the year.
Well, Coach Mingione said it's not just, you know, the top two guys, your bottom two guys. It's 1 through 9. He goes, our best bunter might even be Emilian Petre, our cleanup hitter. So you'll see it everywhere.
Oh, this man dropped one down yesterday. That's Devin Burks, pardon me. And scored a run from third on the safety squeeze bunt. Infield now comes in with Gray at third in the opening inning. And I think another way to describe the pressure is Kentucky scoring early in games like it did yesterday. And will Alabama be looking at a deficit in the early innings again? Burks rips that one over the third baseman's head, and it's 1-0 Kentucky. So that is vintage Kentucky on display in the opening inning.
Well, you're right, Kevin. Kentucky has done a great job of jumping on Alabama, scoring first, and once they score, that's when all of a sudden they get a chance to be more aggressive and do the things they want to do, because now the pressure's off of getting that first run.
Boy, and you saw some of the gaudy numbers for Burks. So the sophomore just continues to impress early in SEC play. Now it's the Canadian Emilian Petre. And you referenced a very dynamic sophomore. Small ball, it hits the ball really well, and in the cleanup spot today. That's a little low, so the count's even at a ball and a strike. Yeah, Petre from suburban Montreal, went to a French-speaking high school. The batting average really impressive. Takes that for a called second strike. So now the question is, what will Grayson's hit response look like the rest of this first inning? Fires a 1-2, wave and a miss at 95 past Petre for the second out of the inning.
That's a big response right there. Reach back in, see what you got. 95 in the tank. Sometimes you just got to trust your fastball's better than the hitter.
Last week he was pretty solid against Florida. Pitched into the 6th inning, allowed just the 2 earned runs against the now 3rd-ranked Gators, and he tamed them. That was the finale against Florida, which Alabama won. Five strikeouts that afternoon for Hitt. The lefty from Germantown, Tennessee. Runner takes off, throw to second, a tad behind Burks. He's got the stolen base. And you know it's coming, too.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, it's a good jump right there. Still, Grayson Hitt gave him a good chance. Gassetti, though, the pick. If ball's in the air, he's probably out. But since Ed Johnson has to pick that, not in time. But still, they're going to run it. And that's a big run with 2 outs, getting into scoring position for your main RBI guy, Hunter Gillum.
You know, how many times did you see it? It was on display once or twice yesterday. 2 outs, runner takes second. And now, all of a sudden, that base hit might plate another run. Here's the 2-1 to the heavy hitter. Gillum has driven in more runs than any other Wildcat this year, the 35, and he's 3 of 9 in this series. So 20th pitch of the inning for Hitt. That one's lifted into shallow right. Out goes Johnson, locates it, and the inning is over, but Kentucky plates 1 in the first.
Yeah, Devin Berg's beautiful swing right here. Again, the back catch jumping ahead on Alabama here in Tuscaloosa, 1-0 Kentucky.
Sunday afternoon in Tuscaloosa, series finale. Kentucky has won the first two, looking for a sweep, and Jackson Gray, Lance, has scored the first run for the Wildcats. They get started quickly. On the slope today for Kentucky, it is Zach Lee. He is the veteran. So, Lance, 41 appearances now on the mound in Lexington, 25th start. And this year, 3-0 with a 2.59 ERA.
Yeah, and this is a guy, like you said, has SEC starting experience, low 90s fastball. Love the two-seamer, though. That's going to be the ball that's going to be running into the righties and away from the lefties. You see the reverse splits, and that just means that righties usually do a better job of hitting off of them than lefties. And so Alabama loaded the lineup up with lefties. So it's kind of weird. They're playing the game of normal analytics, but if he's a reverse split guy, he might start to dominate the left-handed hitters.
And so he joins now his two other colleagues, starters on the mound the last couple of days for Kentucky that are out there with a lead. So the Wildcats have scored first in all three games in this series. Here's a lineup card for Brad Bohannon. Colby Shelton now at the top of the order. He's hit leadoff several times. Jim Jarvis in the cleanup spot, but William Hamiter is out in left field and hits fifth. Yesterday, a couple of hits in the middle game.
Yeah, I love how you just mentioned, Kev, that they're pitching with the lead. Bama has yet to take the lead this whole series.
And on Friday, it was the extra inning loss. It was a tight game on Friday, a game in which Kentucky scored in the 12th inning to win the opener 4-3. Did that one hit Shelton? It did. Yeah, it caught his front foot, so he reaches to start.
He wears this easy. That's just a two-seam. You see the way the ball's going right off the back instep. You can tell it hurts a little bit, but man, I might have dropped.
Ooh, back foot. But now Will Hodo in the box. As you mentioned, lefty-heavy lineup. Sophomore from Waynesboro. Only played in 7 games last year. Turned in some fine work, and Brad Bohannon finding him some at-bats this year in his second season.
I think the biggest thing for Hodo was finding more contact. Last year was a big swing guy. Obviously, they knew he had a lot of power, but could you put that power and get more consistent contact? And that's exactly what he's done, and that's why you see him in the starting lineup day in and day out.
And again, so he and Alabama faced the senior and Zach Lee today. He's from Effingham, Illinois. Yeah, he was a part-time starter last year. In 2021, all 13 of his appearances were starts. He returns as the quote-unquote the Sunday starter this year. 1-1 is ripped. That one's into right, and it's a base hit. So a fine start for Alabama. First two hitters have reached. Yeah, there's Coach Brad Bohannon, and the head man mentioned, sure, the record may indicate 1-4 in league play, but he's comfortable at this point with his lineup that is largely veteran crew in a sense. A lot of juniors and seniors in the lineup. The one-time Kentucky assistant. He was there for more than a decade. So now Drew Williamson is playing Kentucky's game. The number 3 man in the order. Tried to drop the bunt down. That time Burks nabbed it in foul ground. Yeah, there you go. The two head coaches back in 06. Kentucky's SEC championship season. There they are, hiding in the background. Bohannon on the left. And Nick Mingione on the right.
There's a lot of coaches talk about that staff. led by John Cohen, now Auburn's athletic director, former Mississippi State head coach. Gary Henderson was there as the pitching coach. He eventually took over. So on that staff, 4 head coaches in the conference.
Yeah. 1-1 to Williamson. This time he gets it down. Back to the pitcher. Lee's got to hurry. So both runners advance.
A little unselfish baseball right there from Drew Williamson.
A surplus of sacrifice bunts on display this series. Another veteran, Jim Jarvis. So he slides down to the cleanup slot today. It's a 289 average. Went 2 for 5 yesterday. Swings at the first pitch and lifts it down the left field line. This is a long run for Smith. Got it. Runner trying to tag from third. Shelton will score and notch things up.
Love the heads-up base running, Kobe Shelton. Grant Smith, I mean, he has to go a long way. And I think this is the right call to tag, because as he catches that ball, he's then on the track. It's a little muddy over there, but his momentum is going all the way away from home plate. So that's a long throw. Jim Jarvis, first time in the cleanup spot, gets an RBI in his first at bat.
He's a natural.
You know,
now, Hodo State put it second.
I wonder how that went this morning. He walks up, he's like, cleanup? What the heck? How is this happening?
Well, Bohannon has described Jarvis as, he's kind of been the engine of this thing. Yeah, all smiles. He's been the engine the last couple of years for Alabama. So that time, William Hamiter did not hold the swing, so he did go around. The count's 0-2.
That walk in the
is also
dugout,
trying to strand a man.
Sorry about that, Kev. That walk in the dugout was basically everything that Jim Jarvis is. The SoCal look, everything right there. Just everything so nonchalant, just keeping it easy.
Well, and a smart man as well. He knows when to display the flow. Perfect timing. O2 coming from the senior. That one foul tipped into the mitt. That's strike 3. Inning is over. But Alabama answers. Knotted up at 1 after 1.
With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it, yeah.
Next up.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Where's my mind? Where's my mind?
Spicy chicken fries with heat. Appetizer, mini meal, a spicy treat. Eat them anytime cause you're royalty. The box fits a sauce that's pretty neat. BK, have it your way.
Well, Lance and I have tallied them up here, so it's 17 in a row now for Kentucky. So they've taken the first 2 games. They're trying to do something that this program hasn't done in nearly 20 years. That is sweep back-to-back SEC opponents in consecutive series. So, Lance, how has Kentucky done it, taking the first 2 in the series?
Yeah, well, a lot of bullpen work. I mean, the starter, Logan Martin, only went 2 innings in the first game, kind of coming back, and he had really 2 dominant innings, but Darren Williams came in. He had 5 innings, and they soaked up 10 of the 12 when they went extra innings. And then you saw right there, Austin Strickland had 3 getting the win. So it's been really good bullpen work.
Hit gets Ryan Waldschmidt to fly this one deep to the track in right. Williams is there, and so there's 1 out. Nick Mingione has been very candid with media, with us a couple of days ago, about how they are going to win this year. And Lance, you have articulated that at times in that first inning. The 2017 National Coach of the Year wants to run, wants to do it in a lot of creative ways, and he has got a very confident team that is maybe looking at a 6-0 start in league play, which is vital to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time perhaps since 2017. That is the objective this year.
Well, yeah, they do it in a very
McCarthy as well.
Very frustrating way as an opponent, and especially as a pitcher out there. I mean, you get guys on, and it's just like you tend to try to be a little quicker, and you lose a little bit of your mechanics just because you don't want them to steal. And then all of a sudden you fall behind hitters, and then you fall behind hitters, and you stop paying attention to the runner, then they take off. So it's a very frustrating game, and right now it is working for Kentucky.
3-1's a little high, so that's ball 4, and McCarthy is aboard. Well, you know, and that's probably something as we take a peek at where this one came in.
Your guess. I think he said high, so we'll go with that one, right?
Well, I mean, that's close. Patrick Herrera now in the box. Herrera takes that one at the belt for strike 1. And that's something, you know, when you played in the bigs, that was almost a little more prevalent. I mean, more stolen bases. You had runners that were perhaps more active on the bases. The 0-1 is in the dirt. I mean, how do you effectively manage that when you are on the mound and you know you've got, you know, several runners on the base paths to deal with?
Well, a lot of it is just you have to disrupt the timing, just like at hitting, right? You have to disrupt their timing. Well, you have to make the guys on the base paths uncomfortable, whereas sometimes you're going to hold it for 1 second. Sometimes you're going to hold it for 3, 2, back to 3, 1, all those. Especially when guys get to second base, you have to make them stop their feet. And I think that's the part where I think if you want to talk about the pitch clock, that's where gamesmanship can start to affect that, because you get a guy on second base that's very active and he's taking those secondary, making the pitcher check him a couple times, and all of a sudden look up and the pitch clock's low. He's going to have to rush that pitch.
That was Matt Gassetti, the catcher. This one's flared into shallow right, and that dunks down for a base hit. McCarthy's going first to third. Now runners at the corners for Kentucky.
How about pulling the right strings right here? Patrick Herrera, 1 for 4 on the season, only played in 5 games. Hey, guess what? You're going to start. Rewards him with a knock, a little first to third action.
Yeah, and the hit and run now has runners at the corners with 1 gone. And here's the 9-man Grant Smith. Smith squares, but then yanks it back. So Hitt has dealt with runners on base in consecutive innings, and that is something that Alabama pitchers dealt with all of yesterday as well. There's the 3.04 average this year for Smith. 1-0 is in for a called first strike. 5 starts this year for Hitt. 3 wins, 1 loss. He's got the 32 strikeouts in 22 2/3 innings. Now entering this game, opponents were hitting just 193 against him. That one's bunted up the first base line. Run scores, and Kentucky does it again.
I just think we've seen a walk this inning, a bloop over the first baseman, and then a bunt about 27 feet, and all of a sudden Kentucky's got the lead again. And that's just how it's been. I mean, they'll score 3 runs with a 6-hopper to the center fielder, and that's about it. They just manufacture runs as good as anybody right now.
There's Jackson Gray on the left side now. So Kentucky, Lance, has now 26 sacrifice bunts. That, of course, leads the SEC. Now, Mississippi State, right behind them, second in the league, right on their heels with a mean 9.
So that's why they came out bunting this way. They didn't want anybody to get any closer, right?
26, and number 2 in the league is 15 behind you. 0-2 to Gray. That's high and away. And again, several times this series we have seen the sacrifice bunt that has plated a run from third. It is always an option and on the table in that scenario. 1-2 is foul tipped into the mitt. And so the inning comes to a close. Hit allows another. It's 2-1 Kentucky.
With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it, yeah.
Next up.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Where's my mind? Where's my mind?
BK Meltzer here, everyone say cheese. Classic bacon and spicy. Flame grilled double on the toasted bun with the caramelized onions. Now I want one. BK, have it your way.
Alabama got off to a really solid start in the non-conference, began 17-2, and now it has run into the gauntlet that is the SEC. Their first 20 games collectively hit 320 as a team, 218 in 5 SEC games. And it's worth mentioning the context of this is 2 series to start the year against ranked SEC foes on one hand. On the other, Lance, the whole dang league is essentially ranked. 10 of the 14 in the top 25 in late March.
Well,
First pitch, Dave Johnson's there for a strike.
You just rolled through Florida, which might have one of the best starting staffs and in all of college baseball. And it's definitely in the SEC. Brandon Sproat had the game of his life, a 9-inning one-hitter. Then they faced Caglione and Waldrop. So they faced good pitching in the first weekend. Well, Kentucky's guys have come in, and that's, I think, where Coach Mingione says his staff is so much better is the depth, the quality, everybody they have out there. He said they hit 95. 4 guys hit 95, 96 in the first night. So they feel good about their staff as well.
I mean, that's ludicrous to see. 10 of the 14 teams in the top 25, and Alabama was ranked earlier this season. LSU, Florida, Vandy, and Arkansas. You got 4 of the top 5 slots from one conference.
It's just a
2-2 pitch coming to Johnson, and that one's lined into center. Gray is there, 1 out.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet. That there's 10 weeks of 3 games every weekend against the best of the best, and guys, you know, teams just beat each other up. You know, it's a lot. You always hear coaches. It's when you catch a team. You know, like right now, catching Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and it's where you catch them, when you catch them, and you know, that team hot at that time, because you know early on last year you caught Ole Miss, it was good, and at the end of the season you caught Ole Miss, it wasn't good, and they eventually took it on and snuck in the tournament and won the championship.
Zach Lee fires the 0-1 to Andrew Pinckney. That's high and away. So Lee, he's 10-8 for his career, 5.29 ERA, 126 innings for the senior. Off speed fools Pinckney. The count's 1-2. His first season that pandemic affected and shortened 2020 year. Just off the outer edge. Now, he came out of Effingham High. That's in south central Illinois. It's basically the midway point between St. Louis and Indianapolis. Grew up in a small town. 2-2 is waved at and missed. And now Lance, he's got a pair of strikeouts and is retired 3 in a row. Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, Texas A&M. The old rivals, soon to be future rivals, right here on the SEC Network. Really good one with our coverage beginning at 7 Eastern and 6 Central.
Texas coming off a huge series win already, or trying to wrap up a sweep. Got Texas Tech this week, and so it's going to be fun to watch the Longhorns come into the conference.
And so, you know, Jim Schlossnagle faces a team that he was very familiar with facing during his days at TCU. What a start, reaching the College World Series in his first season at Texas A&M a year ago.
Well, that was just a matter of time. And he is such a good coach, and he got the amenities he needs. And I think that's, you know, the main reason why he did take the job at A&M, knowing that they're going to put a lot of money in that, because he had things going at TCU as well. It was, you know, it was a very respectable program, but knowing that you're going to have the best of the best at Texas A&M, why wouldn't you jump to there?
One resource that there is a surplus of in College Station for sure. Williams rips through that one. The count's 2-2. So it's back-to-back starts with Caleb Rose out for Max Williams. Had a hit and an RBI yesterday. 2-2 coming. That's fouled off. I mentioned how Lee has retired 3 in a row. It's actually 5 dating back to the first. Now the 2-2. And he gets Williams to flare this one into shallow left. Waldschmidt makes the play. That's a 1-2-3 second inning. Kentucky 2, Alabama 1, and the Tide back out there next. Kentucky has won 17 straight with a 2-1 lead in Tuscaloosa. Top 3 on a cloudy Sunday early afternoon. We were supposed to go with 3 Eastern. Weather pushed our start time up, or to avoid weather, that is, some poor weather, to 12 noon. Grayson Hitface is 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Jace Felker gets things started. That's the 5th-year senior from Princeton, Kentucky. Yeah, you see the 373 average. Last year, just 57 at-bats, hit 316. He's already surpassed that at-bat total this year, 23 games into the season. Squares and takes for that one at the knees for a called first strike. So second time through the order for Hit. He's got a couple of strikeouts, but has dealt with Kentucky base runners each of the first 2 innings. It's a junior from Germantown, Tennessee. It's right outside of Memphis. 2-2 on the way. Here's the payoff. Popped up. That's foul out of play. So he was this super athlete, Lance, coming out of Houston High, outside of Memphis. He's a multi-sport athlete, so he didn't play just baseball, football as well. Just payoff. Wave and a miss. Good stuff. And the breaking ball gets Felker. So 1 gone in the 3rd. And you can see why a lot of the aforementioned scouts that you referred to are interested in this left-hander, one of the top draft-eligible prospects in the SEC. That's according to D1Baseball.com.
Yeah, he's ranked as the #1 left-handed pitcher. Now, you look at that list, the guy right above him, Paul Skeens from LSU at number 10. I don't believe that is going to be where he is picked. I think he is ticketed to be one of the top 3 picks, if not #1.
Yeah. Shelton on to first, so there's 2 out.
But the way every coach is talking about Paul Skeens, you're like, hey, you could tell your grandkids, look, I was on the list right behind him, you know?
Speaking of top picks, I mentioned Hitt went to Houston High. So I think the most accomplished athlete, to all due respect to Grayson Hitt, to come out of Houston High. I've got Matt Cain. Won a couple of World Series with San Francisco, a 3-time All-Star. That's a 1-2-3 inning for Hitt in the third. 9-1-2 due up for Bama next.
With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it, yeah.
Next up.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Where's my mind? Where's my mind?
Spicy chicken fries with heat. Appetizer, mini meal, a spicy treat. Eat them anytime cause you're royalty. The box fits a sauce that's pretty neat. BK, have it your way.
Kentucky has scored in each of the first 2 frames. It started with a base hit from Devin Burks that plated the game's first run. In the following inning, Grant Smith, the 9-man in the order, does what Kentucky does better than essentially anybody else in the conference, and that is drop a bunt down, plate a run from third. They did that yesterday, and they are turning that into the most exciting play in Lexington perhaps this year. Oh, don't listen, he's just trying to enjoy himself. I don't know if the pooch looks good with the longer hair anyway. This is the 9-man in Alabama's order to start the home half of the third. Matt Cassetti, and he gave that one a ride out to right center. Jackson Gray, flashing the speed, is able to run that down.
Yeah, boy, this ball's tattooed to right center field. Nice job right there by Gurry, running it down. A little appreciation from the starting pitcher. Watch, Zach Lee said, "Thank you, my man. Thank you, thank you."
Colby Shelton, pardon, now in the box. And it's all about the karma. You show the appreciation, and the baseball gods will be good to you, hopefully, in return.
But you have to. I mean, if you're going to have a good game on the mound, you're going to need your boys behind you to, pick you up. You're going to make a good pitch, and they're going to get a hit. Hit a hard ball. You're going to make a bad pitch, and they're going to hit balls like that in the gap. Guys need to run down.
Well, you had one of the best, didn't you? You had Andrew Jones there patrolling center field for you several years, right? This one's out to center. Speaking of that, there's Gray again. All right, let's take a peek at our featured softball games coming up Saturday at noon. Florida, South Carolina, right here on the SEC Network. As followed by Alabama and Mizzou at 6. Also streaming live on the app. And you see the Alabama Crimson Tide softball team ranked inside the top 15 with the big win yesterday.
Yeah, Kev, you did mention Andrew Jones, and he had to be one of the best guys, especially in center field. Just watching him, he just knew where the ball, when it left the bat, he knew where it was going to land. And so he just put himself in that position, and he worked on that during batting practice. And, getting to see him do that, you try to do it, you're like, right when he hit, you're like, that's going to land. And he would be within 2 feet every single time of it. So also played with B.J. Upton. He was another good one, but still no one better than Andrew Jones.
Oh, where Andrew Jones's son? Where is he?
got drafted. Was he first? No, he wasn't first. I think he went second overall with the Diamondbacks.
Right, he is pro right. Boy, that is wild to think you've got the next generation coming through. Here's the 0-2 coming to Will Hodo, and Lee is looking to retire his 9th straight batter. One, two. Oh, he gets Hodo chasing after it. Couldn't help himself. 3rd strikeout for Lee. And he's retired 9 in a row.
Boy, Zach Lee has settled down nicely. Like you just said, 9 in a row. Little slider back foot with the sword.
Spicy chicken fries with heat. Appetizer, mini meal, a spicy treat. Eat them anytime cause you're royalty. The box fits a sauce that's pretty neat. BK, have it your way.
With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it. Yeah.
Next up.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Where's my mind? Where's my mind?
Start of the 4th, Kentucky 2, Alabama 1. Grayson hit back on the mound to face 5, 6, and 7 in the order, and he faces probably the most lethal hitter, at least to this point in the year for Kentucky. That's Hunter Gillum, the .350 average in league play. Only 5 games, however, he has produced. Good breaking pitch that time from Hit, and the lefty gets ahead.
Yeah, I'll take 8 RBIs in 5 games, though. Play that out over the course.
They just torched Mississippi State last weekend. And you hope that may not become a trend, although it's been a rough go to begin SEC play for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you can say that. And I think it's worse than even saying it like that, because when you're talking about the last 3 games, Mississippi State pitching staff, 17 runs what Kentucky put up on Sunday, and then 26, and then 18. Vanderbilt's doing it to them. Tough go right now for the Bulldog pitching staff.
And there you go. It's just another example of look alive. I mean, that is SEC play punching you straight in the face, where you begin with back-to-back ranked opponents. Payoff, wave and a miss. And Hit goes back to that breaking ball. That's his 4th punch out.
Hit really, I mean, he loves the slider, and it's really good. And this is one of the better sliders in the league. And when you can back it up with the fastball, it makes it even better. And especially, that's a slider for a strike that he's, putting by one of the better hitters in the league. But boy, one thing that Kentucky, we just saw that graphic pop up. I think it's going to come up again. It's just they put pressure every single inning. They've already scored 2 in this one. But look at that, 92 runs in the last 7 innings. And it's just because they get a guy on base, and it's just like you could sense that pitcher, he just feels the pressure. I mean, you can watch guys, whether it's veteran guys or not, and that's Coach Mangione's philosophy, is just to continue to be aggressive. And he goes, I know we're going to have some, base running blunders where we're going to maybe run ourselves out of an inning, he said, but it's going to be a lot more positive than negatives, and that's exactly what we've seen so far this year.
Well, and you and Roger were talking about it yesterday, where look at the 9 innings in the middle game victory. A 3-0 green light for Ryan Waldschmidt, and he fouls it off to the right. So Nick Mingione's team had runners on base in 8 of the 9 innings. And that is becoming quite commonplace for Kentucky, at least in the early portion of the season. Speaking of, there's another. Waldschmidt draws the walk. Nick Mingione the very spirited and witty head coach. Always
see him
has
check
the
his
positive outlook. Yeah.
You see him check his own
what's
wristband.
going on here, Lance?
Well, he was in the dugout for much of his head coaching career, and then last year he went back to third base at the end of the season, and he said it just brought a lot of energy back to him. He said he felt like one of the guys again, just being on the field, and they started to play well. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go back out there. Well, he's not in charge of the offense. A lot of times you see the head coach giving signs, like Coach Bohannon for Alabama. He's on third base, and he's giving the signs. Well, Coach Mingione just looks in the dugout like the Kentucky hitters and base runners. They look in the dugout, Will Coggin, and he gives the signs. And so Coach Mingione looks at his wrist. He's like, oh, I guess we're going to bunt. I guess we're going to steal. Hit and run. Here we go.
Oh, very laissez-faire. It's the delegation to his assistant, as you mentioned, Will Coggin. 0-2 is slap foul off of McCarthy's bat. I mean, how common is that?
It's only common if you see it a lot more when the head coach is more of a pitching guy, and he's like, look, hey, you take over, almost like an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You take over that part of it. But when you have a hitting guy and a defensive guy like Coach Mingione, you see a wild pitch right there moving up on him. For a hitting and offensive guy to give up that kind of rain and just let him take it over, it's obviously working right now, I can tell you that.
That's Waldschmidt at second. This one into right. Runner stays put. So 2 gone. Hitt had retired 6 in a row before the walk, but now he's got 2 out. So these are Kentucky's national ranks. Top 30, top 40 in every single one of those categories. The on-base percentage really gaudy. And, you would expect that at this point in the year against the friendlier portion of your schedule. However, the number in the top left is a very significant one because Kentucky has started 5-0 in SEC play. And looking to get to 6-0. The 0-1 is flared back off of Herrera's bat.
Well, you and I were talking yesterday about, what this game means to get to 6-0 for Kentucky, to get to 2-4 for Bama, not falling to 1-5. Because for the most part, that magic number in the SEC is like 13 wins.
Oh, wait a miss. And that's the 5th strikeout for Hitt. Look at this stuff. Falls off the table. And Herrera goes down swinging. Home 4th is after this.
It's a dogfight, but every Friday night, the best of the best out there compete.
You're getting the full package. The competition is going to be the highest level. The environments are going to be crazy. Stadiums, upwards of 10,000 people. There's nothing like it.
If you don't have your A game that weekend, you can lose 2 out of 3 or get swept. So you got to be playing good baseball.
Yeah, I think Luke Hancock hit the nail on the head. It is very difficult to win a series in this league. It's just simple as that, to take 2 out of 3, and then especially on the road as well. It's Drew Williamson to lead it off in the home 4th against Zach Lee, who is really settled in. He's retired 9 in a row. Yeah, so now with the lefty heavy pull hitter at the plate, you got the 3 on the right side of the diamond. The third baseman Felker comes over and he holds the swing.
You know, Kev, I like
Yeah,
how they
it's-
bring the third baseman over because to me it leaves your best infielder, Grant Smith, your shortstop. He's playing there for a reason, probably has the most range. You leave him on that side because he's got to cover the most ground. Some teams will just start to shift everybody over, and it changes everybody's position. Right now you're only changing one guy, and so especially you know, you have Petre, who's used to throwing the ball from second base where he's at. Grant Smith is used to throwing the ball from the shortstop position. Just if you're going to change one, just change one and not make everybody else adjust.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating comparison now. 2-2 is tight because at the major league level this year, right there, that's not allowed. And you are still allowed to have more than 2 fielders on one side or the other of second base at the college level this year. Just like you've always been able to do. 3-2 is pulled right into that shift. Lee covering, and he's retired 10 straight. So 3-1, a tiny 3-1 in your scorecard. So Lance, we're only a month and change into the season, and yet we have projections for the NCAA tournament. And yeah, most of the SEC expected to be in that conversation. Again, this is according to D1Baseball.com.
Where the one you didn't see was Kentucky. And, you know, we talk about this game being like, wow, Kentucky trying to get to 6-0. And for the last couple of years, 13 games has pretty much guaranteed you a regional. 13 wins in the conference, 13-17, even though it's a losing record, pretty much puts you in a regional. So this game, if Kentucky's able to pull it out, and it allows 7 more wins in the 24 games just to think, hey, to put yourself in a regional. So Kentucky's like, hey, you can keep us all talking to us about everybody else, but look, we're going to be out here fighting. And right now, they're showing they want to be in that regional.
Hey, Jarvis lifts this one out to deep right. Gray to the warning track is there, and there's 2 out. Jarvis drove in Alabama's lone run in the first. Gave that one a ride.
Then you can go the opposite way for Alabama. That's why this game is so important, not wanting to fall to 1-5, because then that's the case. You got to roll 12 of 24 to try to get to that 13.
Brad Bahana with a quick conversation with our home plate umpire David Brown. You know, and that's it. You've kind of studied the numbers in a sense, and you've seen the evidence the last few years. It really become 13, 14 wins is a pretty fair minimum to shoot for in a sense. Hammeter gets hit.
Well, I mean, it's the margin of error. You got 13, you're in it. 14, you're kind of getting talked about. 15, you're a top 10 seed. That's all. That's how quickly it can happen. So you squeak out another 1 or 2 wins, and you can go from just making a regional to all of a sudden hosting and in line to basically host a super regional. So that just shows you how strong the conference is. The RPIs are going to be off the chart. Every team in the conference will have a good RPI just because they play each other.
Yeah, the strength of the league is mighty, to say the least. This is Ed Johnson, the Trussville, Alabama native. He flew out to center a couple of innings ago. And so Zach Lee, Lance, had retired 11 in a row before plunking Hammeter. Has really settled into a rhythm after allowing the first inning run.
Well, he's
behind in the count here. 2-0.
A guy that's going to be a 3-pitch pitcher, and it doesn't matter. He's going to throw changeups to righties. We saw one already in this at bat to Ed Johnson. He's going to throw breaking balls to lefties and just mix his pitches in and out. And he's up there pitching. He doesn't have quite the stuff that some of the other guys have had. It's just, like we saw low 90s. It's been about 89 to 91. But he's mixing the ball in and out. He's moving the ball up and down and just really changing speeds on the Alabama hitters. And like you said, really settled in after that first inning off the hit by pitch.
Coach Mingione was complimentary of that slider. Here's some of his strikeouts today.
Yeah, it really is tough to pick up the slider, the spin. It wasn't as tight as you normally would think a guy that's throwing a four-seam fastball. When he's throwing a lot of two-seamers, though, the spin is looser, and so you can't see that as much, and it's not able to be picked up. And you can see right there that Alabama hitters aren't picking up that slider spin as they wave at him.
He's nearly through 4 innings with a very clean, tidy, efficient 52 pitches. Johnson doesn't chase that one. Hamiter at first with 2 gone. Lee started all 10 SEC weekends 2 years ago, a somewhat subpar 22 based on his expectations, and he has risen again. Count goes full.
See right there, just mixing in a 3-1 changeup, knowing the guy's thinking he's going to be aggressive. Ghost changeup. Devin Burks gave him that point right back at him. Loved the way he hit his spot.
Hamiter goes, payoff. That's outside. So Johnson patiently works the walk, 2 aboard. So he walked 5 batters a week ago against Mississippi State. 5 of his 8 walks on the year, and his first walk today comes in the 4th inning. And here's Andrew Pinckney in a big spot. Pinckney, the 7-man in the order today. He was born in Tuscaloosa, grew up in Georgia. And there are the numbers. Again, just 5 games in. Last week you play the 2nd-ranked team in the country. That's Florida. And now another ranked opponent in your 2nd SEC weekend. So a meeting on the mound. That is Dan Roselle, the pitching coach, out to chat with Lee. Mason Moore warms in the bullpen.
Going back to just Pinckney talk, is when you look at just pure prospect, and especially for the pro level, Andrew Pinckney is Bama's guy. I mean, he came in, he could have been drafted last year. I think he had kind of said he wanted to come back to gain a little bit more strength, get a little bit better. But he's the guy that Alabama needs to be in the middle of the order. And he started off the season really, really hot and has started to struggle as of late, and a lot more swing and misses. But if he gets back right like he was at the middle to the end of last year, and he's a guy that can help Drew Williamson in the middle of the order, and that's how Bama can catch fire.
Well, and you're right. Last year was his finest in an Alabama jersey at 301. His 24 extra base hits were 2nd best on the team. Significant spot, and he's ahead in the count, 3-0.
And the biggest thing last year is he hit even better when it came to SEC play. And so that's why Alabama fans, and especially the coaching staff and a lot of just the projections, were just excited about him. And so thinking like, hey, he hit better SEC play.
All right, misses away and loads the bases. So 3 straight have reached after Lee retired the first 2 in the inning. And the freshman, the 8-hitter in the order, Max Williams, is coming up with the bags full. The 21st pitch of the inning for Zach Lee. Goes with the windup, breaking pitch, fools Williams. Williams making his 2nd straight start, has a 368 average in limited time. Now Lee picking up the pace. Gets him to flare this one. Down the line, long run, Waldschmidt ran out of room. And lost the sunglasses in the process.
Something that Alabama had done really good throughout the whole year was scoring with 2 outs and just 2-out hittings. This has been really tough on them this whole series. And again, 0 for 3. This would be a huge 2-out hit, especially if he's able to put one in the gap, because Pinckney's going to be able to roll from first.
Lays off that one. Counts 1 and 2. Hamiter at third. He was hit. Johnson at second. Pinckney at first. They both walked. Lee coming home. Hard hit grounder right side. There's Petre. And he strands him loaded. Nice work to get out of the jam. And he preserves the 1-run lead. Kentucky at the plate next. And that's where we'll talk with the head man, Brad Bohannon. So top half of the 5th inning about to begin. It's Kentucky 2 and Alabama 1. We've got the head coach with us. Hey Coach, really appreciate you taking a moment here. This is the 6-year head man. That's Brad Bohannon. Hey, Coach, series finale. The first two have gone the way they have went. I'm curious, just what was your collective message to this team just ahead of a pretty important series finale today?
Well, we just got to play better. We just haven't played well the last 2 days. We're giving Kentucky way too many, base runners and free bases. And to their credit, they've done a great job of taking advantage of the mistakes that we've made. So we really just need to play cleaner and play better.
Well, Coach, on the offensive side, what do you feel like? Do you feel like there's too much guys putting too much pressure on themselves in each and every bat? Because it's like you're getting guys on, just can't get that big hit.
Yeah, Kentucky's doing a great job of throwing strikes. They're not giving us base runners. It's hard to get 4 or 5 hits in an inning, and we're getting some guys on base. We've had some tough luck, hard contact right at them, and we just got to get a big hit with the runner scoring position.
Well, hey, Coach, good luck the rest of the way. We appreciate you doing this mid-game. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Lance, it's still Grayson hit, the lefty on the mound for Alabama, and he's ahead of Grant Smith to begin the 5th. 1-1 is tattooed hard on a line into left, 1 gone. Grayson hit. The junior starter has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikeouts today and has settled into a nice rhythm. Lance, after the first time through the order.
Well, he's throwing more strikes, and that's kind of been Grayson's kind of bugaboo, is where he just doesn't throw enough strikes. And you see, even in his outing last week against Florida, he had 5 strikeouts, but it's 4 walks. It's, it's 6 strikeouts and it's 4 walks and 5 and 3. So that's just kind of how his thing he's been. But he's spotting the fastball better, and he's mixing in that slider. He loves to throw, and he feels comfortable with it. I always think he's a guy that's more of a slider first than fastball, or slider cutter first, second, and fastball third. And it's a good fastball. I think he could be more of a fastball first, and I think that's where he'll take the next level.
1-2. That's in the dirt. Count evens, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, and so the second time through the order, doesn't allow a hit, walked 1 batter, and he struck out 4. So here's the 3rd time through the order with the leadoff man, Jackson Gray. The check swing on 1 hop to Jarvis. Got him.
Well, there's no doubt he's got the stuff to, be a top-end type starter as a left-hander. He can run the fastball up 97. He's got the changeup, the curveball, the slider, and the cutter. So he's more of a 5-pitch guy. So, yes, getting through the lineup multiple times shouldn't be as tough for him because he has multiple pitches. He can mix things up even more.
There's Jace Felker. Inside corner for strike 1. Lance, I'd be curious, how did your repertoire along these lines evolve throughout your career?
A lot. When you talk about just moving certain things. I'll get to that later.
Yeah, nice play. We call that a tease. Shelton with the 5-3 putout. But first, though, we'll talk with Brad Bohannon's counterpart after this. Kentucky with a 1-run lead as we head to the home half of the 5th inning in Tuscaloosa. And the head coach of the Wildcats kind enough to join us. That is Nick Mingione. So, hey, Coach, we really appreciate the time. We're seeing Zach Lee's numbers. Okay, 4 innings, the 1 hit, and he struck out a handful as well. How would you describe his outing so far today?
Yeah, he's managing the game really well. Obviously right there with 2 outs, got a couple guys on, and I thought Devin did a good job with the visit, Coach Roselle, and he worked his way out of it, and that's all you can ask. You can bend, but don't break, and he hasn't.
Well, Coach, I'd like to go to a little bit more of the transition of you going from the dugout to third base box. It just looks like you are having so much fun out there coaching third base.
I am, Lance, and you know what? I think it's probably better for everybody that I went out there. Players included, they're probably like, whoo, man, get him out of here. No, but I've enjoyed it. I feel like it's brought the best out of me as a coach, and you know, one of my spiritual gifts is the gift of encouragement, and when I'm doing that, I'm at my best, and that gives me more of an opportunity to get in there with them.
I don't think it gets more encouraging than 17 in a row. You guys are on the verge of maybe a fine SEC start. So, hey, we appreciate you taking a few minutes here to do this. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Take care.
Counts 1-2 on Matt Cassetti. So, yeah, Nick Mingione, he is the very, very uplifting, positive head man now in his 7th season. And that's another one for Zach Lee. That's 4 strikeouts for the senior.
I like how he said that. Bend but don't break. Make the pitches when you need to. And when you talk about 2-out hitting, both these clubs haven't gotten a 2-out hit yet, and that's the mark of a staff not breaking and giving in with 2 outs.
This, no doubt, is, at least to this point, Zach Lee's finest outing this year. He's only a handful of starts into his senior season. Shelton gets underneath this one once again. He flew out to center in the 3rd and to left here in the 5th. Let's remind you one more time, our featured college baseball game on the SEC Network. It is 21st ranked Texas A&M and Texas, the Longhorns battle. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Yeah, that is a juicy, it's kind of confusing. It's non-conference. It's not going to be non-conference soon enough, but it is Tuesday. Battle between the in-state rivals in a couple of days. Will Hodo in the box with 2 gone. Hodo has the only Alabama hit today. That was in the 1st inning. And so he's got a hit in all 3 games in the series. The Waynesboro, Mississippi native. One-two coming. That's faulted to center. Gray and Waldschmidt tracking it, and Waldschmidt puts it away. So another 1-2-3 clean inning for Lee. Devin Burks knows what's up. Florida Pro Day, channeling his inner Anthony Richardson, or maybe just Will Levis. Thursday, 10 a.m. What will Anthony Richardson, the genetic anomaly, showcase for NFL scouts and front office personnel? A likely high draft pick next month, and your chance to catch some of that coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. I like the form there from Burks. I mean, listen, he's done this before.
I mean, that's
here he is at the box.
The football toss goes all the way back. You remember seeing a lot of Nolan Ryan stuff back in the day when he used to throw the football. I know a lot of guys continue to do it. I wasn't a good football thrower. I got real small hands, so I needed one of the little tiny Nerf footballs to be able to throw it far more than about 20 yards.
Oh, it wasn't a tight spiral? On the ground to third, Shelton to Williamson, one gone.
How would you think about being, though, these high draft picks over the next month? They just dissect everything that you have, everything you do good, everything you do bad. It's like, man, you got to stay away from the social media, the articles, because you're like, you thought you were good, and then all of a sudden everybody finds something bad, and you're like, what? I'm still getting pick number 2. Why are you saying so many bad things about me?
I mean, there's almost too much of it, to be quite honest.
It's a lot like arbitration. For a Major League Baseball player, when he's going to arbitration, you're like, hey, I do this good, and then the team will be like, you do this bad, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, man, does the team like me? And they're like, yeah, we like you. You're not worth this much money, though.
Right. And that's also your employer for that upcoming season as well. You're right, and it can lead to some awkward situations. This one's flown to left, and Hammer puts it away. That's when you hand it off to the agent, right?
That's right. Please take care of all this.
Yeah.
First baseman, number 14, Hunter Gillum.
This is Gillum. He takes that one high for ball 1. Gillum popped out to second in the first. He struck out in the 4th inning. You know, and again, outside of these first 2 innings, for both starters, you know, they've dazzled. So for hit, he's allowed just 1 base runner. Jarvis is trying to keep it that way. The one hop to first. And yeah, it looked like Gillum got there just a fraction ahead of the throw. So that's just the 2nd base runner for Kentucky since the 2nd inning. Yeah, that's just a perfect illustration of the defensive brilliance there from the veteran Jarvis.
I mean, wow.
Lance,
they talk about MLB defender. Jeez. Full extension, and he got up quick.
Got there. Did it look like Gillum got the foot down before the baseball arrived?
Live, I don't know. Like, I like to go off of the player's reaction. And Drew Williamson, I mean, you're talking to a guy that's been there for 5 years. I mean, how many times has he had a close play? He picks that ball, he takes off running. And I know first baseman tried to sell it, but I like to go off that first reaction.
Alabama is challenging the call of safe at first base.
By the way, I love the microphone. Necessary and glad that we have upgraded to that format. Wow, look at the extension, too.
From that side, I feel like he's got him. But, yeah, you talk about where Jarvis catches that ball. Oh, that's close.
Oh, wow.
The call on the field of safe stands at first base. Alabama loses one of their challenges.
First off, you know, hats off to just that expedited replay process, number 1. And second, is there nothing indisputable to reverse it? I wonder if that's why the call remains.
I think that's what it is. I mean, you talk about most people believe the tie goes to the runner. That's not in the rule book, but I really feel like they just didn't see anything that could change it.
Jarvis can't reach that one, and so Kentucky has a pair of base hits with 2 gone in the 6th inning.
Pretty much back-to-back pitches, same exact spot, back-to-back hits into the spot. Trying to test Jarvis out, see if he can get to that one.
There goes Gassetti to speak with Hit. Big spot for Nolan McCarthy now, with Kentucky ahead by 1. That's been our score since the 2nd inning. .262 average. Kentucky today 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Bounced foul. To third, Shelton goes the easy way to retire the side. Grayson hit, 6 innings, 2 earned allowed. Good work today. Like it's done in all 3 games of this series, Kentucky struck first. Devin Burks played at Jackson Gray in the opening inning to take a 1-0 lead. Then Jim Jarvis's sacrifice fly allowed the home team to tie it up, but not before. This is Kentucky baseball this year. The sacrifice bunt for Grant Smith allows the visitors to get out to a 2-1 lead. And so, Lance, in a game in which there's a lot of significance around this one, both starters are locked in today.
Yeah, both really dealing. They got the all-speed pitches working. Zach Lee's got about 4 Ks on that slider. Grayson hit. Again, he's got the back foot one working as well. And they've matched each other, pitch for pitch. Grayson hit's got only 1 earned run, and so does Zach Lee.
And so since the bottom of the second, we've seen just 2 hits, and only one of those has left the infield. That was Ryan Waldschmidt's in the top half of the 6th frame, and that is the collective total for both teams. Yep, Alabama with just the 1 hit. That belongs to Will Hodo. Just really fine stuff from both starters, Lee and hit. And, oh, you hate to see it. Williamson trying to beat the shift.
It's
so
crazy because you don't have to be so fine. You have the whole side of the green, and watch Devin Burks, the catcher. He's jumping around. He's trying to wave that thing off. Go, go. Smart play right there, because that's the only play. You just let it go because you're not going to throw a nut anyway, so might as well just see if it'll go foul.
Oh, so close for Williamson. 1-2. Wave and a miss. 5 strikeouts for Lee, and he got him with the high heat.
Yeah, expand the zone. He's got him thinking change up, slider down. Look, 4-seam in right below the hands. That's a perfect spot right there, Zach Lee.
Again, he hasn't allowed a hit since the 1st inning. That's it. That's the only one. Jarvis with the unique stance with that front foot up in the air, and now he's got a base hit. That's the 2nd for Alabama today. First of the day for him.
Just nice compact. Coach Bo said this year they wanted to see him impact the ball, and I think that's what he's done. He's bought into what they wanted to see, and they got some outside voices to try to help him do that, and I think he's done a great job of that. Hitting balls harder, a little exit velo is what everybody wants to see.
$156 games now in his career at Alabama, a 3-year starter. Throw to first was close. And now time is called. I wonder if Bohannon was calling for maybe a balk.
Well, I'm watching Garrett McMillan, the former Friday night guy for Bama is coming back from an injury. He coaches first base, and he's talking to first base umpire Justin Robinson and trying to. That's what it looks like.
Kentucky is
he's
challenging
explaining
the call of safe at first base.
No, so it's Kentucky that's going to use one of its challenges.
Yeah, I don't think you can go and challenge a balk call or what should have been a balk call, but that's what McMillan is complaining about. You can see his hands right there pop up like he's moving his front foot first.
Looks like that sliding mitt is on the bag before the tag.
Well, one of the tough things you'll see is the sliding mitt is white, so is the bag. So it's one of those where if you had a black one, you'd see it a lot easier.
That's Jeff Macias, by the way, our crew chief who's got the microphone.
After review, the call at first base stands. The runner is safe. Kentucky loses one of their challenges.
So you've got two of them, so you know the mentality of you might as well use them, you know, is always there. Jarvis stays put now at first with one gone for Alabama in the 6th.
I agree to a point, but with it being a one-run game, already one out, it's at first base. It's, you know, if it's a no out and it's in, you know, scoring position, maybe, but, you know, yesterday Kentucky used 2 challenges really early in the game and then had 2 plays later that might have gone their way if they had a challenge available, but they didn't, so they just kind of had to wear the calls.
Yep. And so now, yeah, each team with just 1 remaining. This is William Hamiter. He's waiting on a 2-0 from Lee, who is now past 80 pitches. This will be his 82nd coming up. Both starters have pitched into the 6th inning. Counts 3-0. That's still Mason Moore in the Kentucky bullpen. At the letters, strike 1. Lee fires. That's ball 4, and Alabama now has the tying run in scoring position with Ed Johnson coming up. There's the comparison. Hit with 6 innings in the books. One of those 2 Kentucky runs earned, 5 strikeouts. That's now Lee's 3rd walk. And speaking of that, Dan Roselle is hitting out to the mound. Or no, pardon me, that's Mingione.
Very rarely did I have a coach come out there smiling when you have runners on base. He's just out there smiling. So there's the encouragement coming from Coach Mingione he talked about.
That's Nick. Mason Moore out of the pen next. Hat tip to Zach Lee. Good stuff today, but there are 2 on and work to do.
With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it, yeah.
Next up.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Where's my mind?
Spicy chicken fries with heat. Appetizer, mini meal, a spicy treat. Eat them anytime cause you're royalty. The box fits a sauce that's pretty neat. BK, have it your way.
5 1/3 for Zach Lee. One of his finer starts, today?
It really was. He had everything working, the two-seam, the back foot slider, even some change-ups. Yeah, he gave Kentucky everything they wanted. He's leaving with the lead, 2-1.
However, work left to do in this home sixth, because there are 2 Alabama runners aboard with 1 gone. Lee hands the baseball over to Nick Mingione, who then hands it off to Mason Moore. One of the more, at least in the early goings of this season, reliable relievers out of the pen for the Wildcats. Here's the sophomore from Moorhead, Kentucky. 8th appearance, 15 2/3 innings. He's allowed just 3 earned, and that's a 1.72 ERA for the sophomore righty. He faces Ed Johnson, the 6th hitter in the order for Alabama, with the tying run in Jim Jarvis in scoring position. Lifted foul. Maybe a chance for either Burks or Gillum. That's foul. Nice catch on the ricochet.
Yeah, Mason Moore had a tough outing on Friday night. That's kind of his worst outing. He gave up the 2, but I mean, it's fastball. It's 94, 92, 94 with true sink. I mean, it moves into those right-hander, and it plays really well with the changeup.
Oh, wow, to the backstop, and that's a nasty kick. Jarvis to third and Hamiter to second. And whoa, this spot has gotten a little dicier now.
Yeah, that slider, that's not even close. Look, that barely even makes it into the left-hander batter's box. And you're right, tough kick off that brick wall, but only moving up 1 base. But what that does now, Bama's got 2 into scoring position. So a hit, all of a sudden, instead of tying the game, take the lead.
Foul tipped, and so now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Johnson. .324 average this year. He has been very steady. The Tennessee Tech transfer, an Alabama native who just crushed the OVC last year. 2-2. Good take.
Really good take, because that looked like a strike. But this is the spot where Coach Bohannon was talking about, getting the big hit with the men on base. They have 2.
Payoff. Hits it high in the air. Shortstop Smith is drifting over. 2 out. With Andrew Pinckney coming up. Moore recovering after that wild pitch earlier in the at-bat. One more challenge. That's Pinckney. .325 hitter. He walked in the 4th, struck out in the 2nd. And Moore going from the wind again. Here we go. 1-0.
Pinckney has been one of the guys for Alabama with 2 outs. He's hitting .345.
Pinckney bounces it through the right side. That's a base hit. Jarvis scores. Here comes Hamiter. Throw to the plate. In time. Burks with the stretch, the reach. And they gun down Hamiter. 1 does score. 2 up at the end of 6. Although, hold on a second. We may have a review. That was McCarthy from right with the throw that bounced to Burks' right. He had to reach and then stretch back with the swipe.
Alabama is challenging the call of out at home plate.
So here we go. We're going to take a peek at this one now.
Yeah, you just mentioned, yeah, he had to reach to his right. It wasn't that good of a throw. What, to me, what happened, the best thing about it.
The call on the field is confirmed. The runner is out. Alabama is out of challenges.
And they confirmed that one quick. Alabama does tie it up 2-2 after 6. Who doesn't love a good play at the plate? The end of the 6th unfolds this way. Andrew Pinckney, the inside-out swing. His base hit scored Jarvis from third. Hameter got the wave. McCarthy's throw from right was offline, but then Burks the dive to get the right arm of Hameter. 9-2 put out at the plate.
I think it all starts with
Alabama from taking a lead.
I think it all started with McCarthy. The throw wasn't real good, but what he did was he really hustled, almost dead sprint to get the ball, got rid of it quick, and that allowed, like you said, Devin Burks to be able to catch the ball and dive all the way across the plate. So just the effort of getting to the ball. Sometimes guys just kind of take it easy, get to the ball so they can make a better throw. I love how fast he got to it.
And so one run did score to tie things up. It's 2-2, start of the 7th. Very critical early season series finale between Kentucky and Bama. Look at their conference records in the top left. Wildcats are looking for back-to-back series SEC series sweeps for the first time since 2006. Now they face Cade Woods out of Alabama's bullpen. He is the first arm out of the pen. So the righty faces Patrick. Pardon me, that's not Patrick Herrera. Pinch hitter at the plate for Kentucky. So that's Chase Stanky, who's in the lineup yesterday. Senior from Illinois. Takes it at the knees. Good spot that time from Woods. Stanky had a hit and an RBI in yesterday's middle game. 1-2. Woods, though, replaces Grayson Hitt, who allowed one earned run. He allowed a run in the first and the second, but then really settled down and was brilliant at times. 2-2. Breaking ball locks up Stanky, one away. And that is our first strikeout victim to look at the called third strike today.
Boy, stuff that Cade Woods takes to the mound. Fastball up to 97. That was a little comebacker at 94 miles an hour. He's got a tight slider, and he has become a strikeout weapon for Alabama in the pen.
Lance, what do you have? 7 in 2 2/3. Last outing against Florida.
Yeah, I think he struck out last 7 hitters, so he's on an 8 for 8 right now roll of 8 batters, 8 Ks.
Yeah. That's now 23 strikeouts for Woods in a little more than 11 innings. 1-1 to Grant Smith is low. 2 balls and a strike. Popped foul, so now 2 strikes on the number 9 man. Here's what he did against Florida.
Yeah, he came right in after Grayson hit with the 5 2/3, and Cade Woods comes in, gets the save, and he was going right at the Gator hitters. Lively fastball, has some excitement in there.
Back at the wall, this one is gone. It's a solo shot for Smith. His first of the season unties this thing quickly.
Well, this is your definition of letting the pitcher. I thought it was a fastball, supply the velocity right there. Grant Smith, 9-hole. The senior, no home runs, gets his first one. Dead center. Andrew Pinckney tries to climb that wall, but not tall enough. answering back, the Bat Cats.
Now the 1-0 to Jackson Gray. We go back to the top of the order. The count's 2-0. So Smith has driven in 2 of Kentucky's runs. Now the first was a little less exciting, perhaps. It was the sacrifice bunt. A high chop to second, 2 out. But just moments after Alabama ties things up in the bottom of the 6th, Kentucky pulls back ahead, and you referenced this before. They have been ahead for many innings, most innings of this series. First pitch to Jace Felker is low. It's foul tipped into the mid. So Grant Smith, he actually spent the last 3 years at Incarnate Word, which is, if you're not certain where that is, north of San Antonio. Hit 8 homers there last season, 7 the year prior. So a little pop in that bat, and now he has officially brought it to Lexington. 1-2 with 2 gone. A wave and a miss. So that 95-mile-per-hour fastball is too much for Felker to keep up with. So Woods struck out 2, but he didn't get this guy. Grant Smith got him.
Yeah, showing a little versatility. He got the RBI on the sack. He said, guess what? I'm going dead central this time, making it easier on the boys.
Texas A&M Tuesday, 7 Eastern on the SEC Network, also streaming live on the ESPN app. You see the number next to A&M, a lot of numbers next to SEC teams. One of 10 ranked teams in D1 baseball's top 25. 1 pitch and 1 out in the home 7th. Max Williams grounds out, and Mason Moore has a easier start to the 7th inning. There's Kentucky, top 25 after having won now 17 straight, in search of a 6-0 conference start. Matt Cassetti takes a called first strike. I mean, Lance, that is as encouraging as it gets.
Yeah, no question. And to me, they've been the aggressor, not just this game, the whole series. And I love the call for Coach Bohannon to send William Hamburger to try to take the lead. That's something Alabama hasn't had all series. They haven't had the lead. And so it's one of those where you got to feel like if you can get the lead, then you're like, hey, we can go to our guys in our bullpen and hopefully keep that. But, you know, Kentucky just keeps making the plays. They're getting the hits when they need to and also making the pitches.
Nick Mingione's team won 9-5 yesterday and 4-3 in 12 innings on Friday. Payoff. That's bounced foul. A good look at the former co-workers briefly. Bohannon, a longtime assistant at Kentucky for more than 10 years. And so he and Mingione were on the same staff in 2006 and 2007 in Lexington. Payoff to Gassetti, wave and a miss, and there's 2 gone. And yeah, there they are, hiding in the background. You can see based on Coach Mingione's sunglasses there on the bill of the cap that the style of the sunglass has changed here.
Some younger guys right there.
Yeah.
I bet there's parts of that season that feel like it was yesterday, and parts of that season feel like it was way more than 18 years ago.
Colby Shelton now behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, they won the SEC title in 2006. Yeah, and both of these guys have a very similar objective: get back to the NCAA tournament. Brad Bohannon's team was there 2 seasons ago. Kentucky was last in the tournament in 2017. 1-2. That one runs way inside. Alabama has started SEC play against consecutive ranked SEC opponents. Last weekend they were a two-run 9th inning away from taking 2 out of 3 from the at the time second-ranked Gators on the road. And then you have to turn around and face the red-hot Kentucky Wildcats that have won 17 straight. Speaking of Florida, there's Gators and the Rebels after us this afternoon. Wow, really good eye that time by Shelton to lay off that one, so he works a 2-out walk. Second time he's reached today.
Well, it's not going to get any easier for Alabama as they got to go to Arkansas, which swept the first weekend. They had a tough weekend. They actually just had a tough yesterday. Yeah, Mason Moore thought he had a strike. He kind of walks off a little bit, but nice eye right there by the freshman, Colby Shelton.
Hodo swings through that one, so the count's 0-1. Hodo with one of just the 3 Alabama hits today. Strike 2.
Oh, beautiful back-to-back changeup right there by Mason Moore, and it's so tough. 82. He backs the fastball up at 94. Both of them look the same coming out of the hand.
Here it comes. Outside, the count's 1-2. Moore coming to the plate and trying to get Hodo to bite. The sophomore from Mississippi awaiting a 2-2 with Alabama down a run. Outside edge, that's ball 3. And so now we have another payoff pitch coming. 2 out with Shelton at first. Drew Williamson awaiting on deck. Moore fires, swing and a miss, and the inning is over. That's a clutch strikeout to protect the 1-run lead.
Mason Moore, changeup. Look at that spin out of the hand. Pulled the string, my man.
Back at Tuscaloosa, series finale. Alabama, Kentucky, Wildcats by 1. We were tied up for a brief moment, and each time Kentucky has answered Alabama's runs in the 2nd and the 7th. The latest, a solo blast from Grant Smith. The senior from Albuquerque has the visitors ahead 3-2 as we begin the 8th inning with Lance Cormier, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. And Alabama now running out of outs. Kentucky has taken the first 2 in the series. And they have their sights set on back-to-back series sweeps against SEC opponents. That hadn't happened in a while. Matter of fact, the last time it happened, 2006. This is Devin Burks, and the 2-1 is coming from Cade Woods. Misses upstairs with the breaking pitch. Yeah, Nick Mingione calls Burks a winner. Delivered an RBI single in the first to get things going. He's put the ball into play all 3 times today. He's grounded out to third twice as well. The Bradenton, Florida native, he's just one of the vocal leaders, just kind of forms the bedrock for this Kentucky team. Wave and a miss. The fastball. Woods blows it by him. 1 gone. By the way, Tommy Seidel now takes over in right for Max Williams. A former Harvard outfielder. Using his final and extra year of eligibility at Alabama this year. Here's the Canadian, Emilian Pitre. So look at Petre's on base percentage. It's .514. So almost 150 points higher than his batting average, which again, it's typical to see some of the inflated numbers early in a season. Seidel puts that one away. He's 6th in the league in on base percentage. He's still a ways behind LSU's Dylan Cruz, who's reaching base 2 out of 3 times this year. By the way, remember Florida and South Carolina Saturday at noon. It's part of our doubleheader of softball coverage, and then after that one later in the day, Saturday at 6, it's Alabama and Mizzou, both games on the app. So even if you're at Lance's gym getting a workout in, there's no excuse. You can also be following those games on your app on the go.
There's never an excuse for not doing that.
Or to skip a workout as well.
That's right.
Woods is trying to make this a quick top of the 8th inning and get the Alabama bats back up to the plate. Hunter Gillum fouls that one off. So the sun has popped back out, by the way. It was dreary and gray earlier in the afternoon. 0-2 is ripped foul. Remember, we had to move the start time up of this one. We were scheduled to go at 3 Eastern. Moved up to 12 to try to avoid some potential inclement weather that may be on the way. 0-2 fouled off again.
Well, one thing about Cade Woods is everything is hard. The fastball's hard, the slider's hard. He is coming right at you. There's no guessing right now. It's a matter of something's coming at you hard.
Gillum doing a fine job of fighting off these pitches. Cade Woods from Monroe, Louisiana. Redshirted a year ago. Got a fine start to his 2nd year in Tuscaloosa. 0-2. That's rocked foul. Kentucky hitters do a fine job of this as well, keeping at-bats alive. Woods is coming. Check swing, looked like he did go around. Woods got him. They throw down to first to complete the strikeout. A pair of Ks in the inning. Alabama goes to work next. Heart of the order coming up. The road to Omaha, it has begun. And we know all about the SEC dominance in Omaha. So 8 of the last 13 national titles have gone to a member in this conference, including 3 straight. New arm on the mound for Kentucky. That is Seth Chavez, the senior from Arizona, a transfer from East Tennessee State. Missed all of a season ago due to an arm surgery. In 7 appearances, make it 6 for the Wildcats this season. And his first year in Lexington, 7 innings, 12 strikeouts, hasn't allowed an earned run. With his team ahead 3-2, it is the heart of the order for Alabama in the late innings. Drew Williamson gets it started. A 383 average to begin the year, however, hitless today. Williamson, he's the redshirt senior, the veteran, with just 1 hit in the series. Got a good pitch to hit on 2-0. Gillum to Chavez, 1 out.
Oh, nice PFP right here by Seth Chavez. I love when my first baseman gets it. Go out there, get it, trust it. If I'm not covering first base, it's my fault. So a lot of times you'll see the first baseman kind of look, and then all of a sudden that ball goes in the right field. But go get it if you can. Kentucky's players having a little fun with the way Chavez covered first base.
A little high step over there.
He's like, I've just got to get out of the way. I don't want Drew Williamson coming in on me right behind me. Got to get out of the way, touch the bag, and get out of the way.
Smart man. That was a clean backhand from Gillum. And we've referenced this. Gillum, one of the many first-year transfer additions to the Kentucky roster, but then lineup. There are plenty of them. First-year Wildcats, experienced ones. Jarvis takes that one high. It's 2 balls and a strike. So, Lance, I think we were all wondering, you know, what are the early returns going to look like? These are plenty of quality players, but many of them, as you can see, almost all of them transferring in from non-power conferences, if you want to use that term. So we're wondering, how is it going to translate to the best conference in baseball? And here Kentucky is on the verge of maybe a 6-0 SEC start.
Yeah, so far so good. You saw the bottom 5 right there. Gillum, Gray, Smith, Stanky, Walshmith. Those are guys that are starting. Ewell even started the first game, and now you got Chavez in the game. So, I mean, it's not just that they're transferring. They came in, they got into the lineup, and they're doing their parts.
Jarvis, like the veteran he is, works a 1-out walk, and he represents the tying run aboard with 1 out in the 8th for Alabama, who on the flip side is desperate to avoid the home sweep. Here's William Haminer. First pitch swing and pops it up. That's Felker near the Alabama dugout, and that's into the stands.
Well, Kevin, that was so close because it hit the top wire that the net is hanging from. And just the way Felker was, he was on the railing. He had himself in a very good position. If that doesn't hit that wire, I think he might have caught that over the Bama dugout.
The netting is slanted over the dugout. It is not at a 90-degree angle. That one's ripped into right, down for a base hit and maybe more. Jarvis is on the move. McCarthy collects. Jarvis gets the stop sign at third. It's a double for Hamiter. A critical one in the 8th inning for Alabama.
Boy, Change up, stays up. William Hammer, the professional hitter. He's just a good hitter all around. Look at that, drives that ball. Gets two guys into scoring position for Bama. And Chavez did this. He struggled a little bit in the first game, but he was able to make the pitches when he needed to. He had a huge strikeout of Kobe Shelton that he gave up the lead, but didn't. I mean, he tied the ball game, but didn't give up the lead, and that's what allowed Kentucky to come in extra innings to win.
And now it's been upgraded very quickly to a 10 spot. Ryan Hagenow in the bullpen, warming for Kentucky. The go-ahead run for Alabama at second base. Here's the 0-1 to Ed Johnson. That one punched to first. Here comes the runner. This time Gillum slips, but he still gets it there. Oh, safe! We're tied at 3.
That might be the weirdest play I think I've ever seen.
I think Burks was shaking his head immediately, indicating there's no way he slid in under my tag. And you can see the umpires already gathering. All right, a lot to unpack here.
Kentucky is challenging the call of safe at home plate.
So, Lance, you were on it before. This is why you have to be very prudent with your challenges. This is a major moment. After the stumble at first, here's the throw. I mean, it clearly beats Jarvis. Oh, the right foot.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like Jarvis gave up thinking, oh, there's no way. And then he was like, wait up, he's not here tagging. Let me just stick my foot out.
This is razor close. Oh, with the right foot twisted over to try to get a piece of the base. Yeah, did Burks get the left arm at any point?
I'm glad I'm not doing their job. I can tell you that.
David Brown. Yeah, boy, that is that's quite a heads-up call from David Brown. Again, the ruling is safe, so
after review,
it's got to be overturned.
The call on the field of safe stands.
We are knotted up at 3. And let's unpack it further. So Gillum gets that bouncing ball. He's staring down Jarvis the whole time, and then he takes off before Gillum could get to first base. Right here, he's watching.
Loses the footing, though, and that's what caused Jarvis to think he could get in. I mean, David Brown is right on that. He is right on top of that. It's a great positioning that he's in.
If Gillum doesn't stumble, Jarvis is out at the plate.
Well, he's caught no man's land, so yeah, he's sitting there right in the middle. And then, but once he loses his footing, Jarvis is like, well, I guess I'll go.
So there's a meeting on the mound with several Kentucky players. This is Mingione, who's at least asking for perhaps for some sort of clarification from Brown. The old fielder's choice does it again. Hammeter's now at third. He represents the go-ahead run. And can Alabama flip this thing dramatically in the 8th inning? Jarvis, he scored twice. I mean, he's responsible essentially for, partly at least, for all of Alabama's 3 runs. Now it's Andrew Pinckney with runners at the corners. This is a dicey spot for Seth Chavez, who retired the first man. That was Williamson, but then he walked Jarvis. Pinckney knocked in the run in the 6th to tie things up. That's below the knees, counts 2-0.
I can tell you, if Alabama wins this game, Jim Jarvis is going to walk into Coach Bohannon's office and be like, hey, cleanup hitter again, right? Next. Got 2 runs, got the sack fly.
This is a new role. That one is a bunted foul. It's a Jim Jarvis rebrand today. The leadoff man has been very productive in the cleanup slot. Still plenty can happen here in the 8th. 2-1 is swung at and missed.
It just seems like certainly Andrew Pinckney's not seeing that slider, Kevin.
Yep. It's been a tough go for Bama with runners in scoring position this series. 2-2 in the dirt. Hamilton stays put, but Johnson gets down to second.
This is where you got first base open, 3-2 count. He's going back-to-back breaking balls. And I just mentioned that Pinckney hasn't really seen the slider, he's been chasing a lot more than usual. I'd be willing, probably going back to it.
Payoff. Foul tipped, we'll do it again. With Tommy Seidel on deck, who has not hit yet today. Came in as a defensive replacement for Max Williams a couple innings ago. And Burks is a little shaken up after that foul ball got a piece of his arm. It's like the leg, rather. Oh, yeah. You like the breaking pitch again?
I do.
With 1 out. Fastball ripped into left, a base hit. Alabama takes a lead. Pinckney plates Hamilton. And he gets to second, but he overslid the base. Pinckney is trying to indicate to his lead runner, that's Johnson. Ball comes loose, but he's out, is the call. A wild sequence. First and foremost, Alabama has taken a lead. Now, I think Johnson was reading that one right to basically stay at third. Pinckney was the one who was caught in the rundown.
Yes, you got Pinckney obviously gets the hit, scores the first one, the hustle out of the box, and he knew he had to go so hard into second base. Well, as he slides, he goes past second base. Well, going back to it would have gotten him, no one dead out, so he takes off to third base, which pushes Ed Johnson into going. Well, Johnson goes, and he knows he's dead to right at home plate, but the catcher drops the ball, and he doesn't touch home plate, and all of a sudden Chavez picks it up, tags him out. What a crazy run of events, these last couple of hitters.
Johnson clearly got the stop sign.
Alabama is challenging the call of out at home plate.
Yeah, there's the drop. And then there was the out signal from David Brown.
Yeah, I think it's because Ed Johnson never touches home plate. He thinks he's out. He doesn't realize the catcher dropped the ball. Chavez right there, picks it up, tags him out.
And that's the question now. Did he tag Johnson before he slapped his left hand?
After review, the call on the field of out is confirmed.
Oh, man. Certainly a major base running mistake. Pinckney, though, does wind up at third.
I know.
Yeah,
Tags him before the left hand.
Tommy Seidel's right there, and he tries to jump in as the on-deck hitter's supposed to tell you where to go, which way to slide. And he looks at him, he's like, dude, you didn't touch the plate.
So Kentucky's going to make a pitching change. Well, it ends up being 6 1/2 dozen of the other. Pinckney was out between second and third before Johnson takes off. So you still have a runner at third with 2 out. goodness gracious. Alabama leads. Pitching change. It's Hagenow on the mound next. Holy moly, a wild sequence in the bottom of the 8th inning has Alabama ahead, but there are 2 outs. Andrew Pinckney at third, and a new pitcher going to be on the mound for Kentucky in a moment. All right, with 2 runners on and just 1 out, Pinckney singles into left to give Alabama the lead. He tries to take an extra base, gets there, but then overslides the bag. Johnson is caught between third and home. Gets caught in the rundown, but the catcher drops the ball. Johnson doesn't realize it, and Chavez, wisely backing up the play, the pitcher, tags him before the left hand can slap home plate. And Hagenow officially retires Seidel and the Tide. But whoa, Alabama with 2 in the 8th. They can close it out in the 9th now next. Alabama entered the 8th down 3-2, then plated 2 runs, maybe not in the most conventional fashion. A crazy bottom of the 8th inning. Now it began with the Ed Johnson bouncing ball to first. Hunter Gillum throws late to the plate after sliding, and the slide and slip is what allows Jim Jarvis to get underneath the tag to tie things up at 3. Then Andrew Pinckney plated the go-ahead run, but overslid second base, and then we had this chaotic rundown. Johnson dead to rights, right? But then the catcher drops the ball. Johnson doesn't realize it, and after the baseball ricochets off of the home plate umpire, Seth Chavez, the pitcher, picks up the baseball, tags him before he can get his hand on the plate. And Jim Jarvis says, whoops. But here's the good news for Alabama. The run that scored just before that chaotic moment has put them ahead by a run. And Cade Woods can close it out in the 9th against 6, 7, and 8 in the Kentucky order. First, it's Ryan Waldschmidt.
Talk about an
Lance,
emotional...
that was your... yeah, go ahead.
Emotional roller coaster up and down. You saw Jarvis jumping up and down, realized he got called out like, oh, man.
This one's to the wall in right. Seidel is there, 1 away. Yes, it was the very conventional 7-5-4-2-1 out at home.
I mean, that was just a crazy inning. You see a first baseman slip and fall on the throw. A runner basically, like Jarvis pretty much gave himself up, and then he realized, oh, wait, let me just try to slide, gets in, and then the chaos that we just saw. All for Bama to get their first lead in the series.
Yep. And let's acknowledge Andrew Pinckney twice today after, okay, understandable against a great team like Florida, a little bit of a rocky series at the plate last weekend. He plated a run in the 6th inning to tie things up, and he just plated a run in the 8th inning to put his team ahead, maybe for good, in a critical series finale. 2-0 is lifted off of McCarthy's bat into shallow right. Another easy one for Seidel. And wow, in a matter of 15 minutes here, Alabama staring a sweep in the face is 1 out away from staving off a 3-game home sweep.
I think what you just mentioned for Pinckney, this could be the game that kind of gives him that spark and just not necessarily turn his season around, because he's having a good season, but just the first week in the conference play, he's been struggling. So sometimes it takes one game.
Well, this one is given a ride out to right, out the fence. Seidel is there. Oh, man. Alabama steals a victory away from Kentucky, and perhaps staves off the sweep as well. That is a big Alabama win, and some late dramatics in the 8th inning is what turns a 1-run deficit into a 1-run win. And the drama carried Lance to the final out of the game.
Yeah, this ball was absolutely crushed into the gap, and Tommy Seidel said, look, I want all 3 catches. I've just got in the right field, and right back on the track, off the wall. Nice grab right there by side on this. Alabama basically pulled a page out of Kentucky's book. They used some of the small ball, some base running, put some energy on, put a little pressure on the Kentucky defense, and all of a sudden they got those 2 runs in the 8th inning. And again, like I said, their first lead of the series, and it pays dividends. They pick up 1.
This is something for Alabama to feel good about. They needed it, and they snapped Kentucky's 17-game win streak. Listen, both teams take care of business in a sense. Kentucky wins 2 out of 3, very important, but Alabama needed that win. They're now 2-4 in league play. Your final, Alabama 4, Kentucky 3. Thanks for joining us today. For Seth Payne, our producer, Alex Seaver, our director, Lance Cormier, and Kevin Fitzgerald saying so long from Tuscaloosa. Let's go to bonus coverage. Tennessee, Texas A&M coming up.